What's up, my stars? Welcome back to another video. It's Void Bella here, and I'm going to be doing a video essay called Why the Breakfast Club is the Accurate Depiction of a Teenager's Experience. I plan to do more video essays like this, more professionally done videos, mainly ones like this where I'm sitting at my desk and whatnot, and I think that this is a great angle, and if I ever do desk videos again, which I do plan to, it'll probably most likely be at this angle, which I feel like is very good and it looks very awesome. So if you guys have any suggestions for what you want me to do, if there's something you want me to cover, like a movie, any other suggestions for like video essays like this, I would love to hear your suggestions in the comments. And that being said, if you haven't seen The Breakfast Club, I highly recommend you go watch it. Whether you watch it now, you watch it after you watch this video, I feel like every human being should watch this movie, The Breakfast Club. I feel like everyone should watch it at least once in their lifetime, to be honest. And for those of you who know, you know. And if you don't, then you just don't. You're gonna have to watch it to see. It's pretty good. I don't feel like this will do it justice enough. But it's a fantastic movie, and I think you should go and watch it. So yeah. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first time I saw The Breakfast Club, I had no clue what it was about, which makes sense because I didn't understand the serious topics. Not really, actually, I guess not really serious topics. More like just topics I didn't understand because it's like through the point of view of high schoolers, basically, and I was like 10 the first time I saw this and whatnot. So yeah, that being said, I feel like I understand this movie more and more each time I watch it. Yet it feels all too familiar to me. Not just because I've watched it so many times before, but it feels like just, I don't know, it just feels like seeing an old friend after a long time and catching up. I know that sounds cheesy. Shut up. But yeah. When I asked my mom what she thinks the main moral of, like, meaning of this movie is, she said it's that everyone has something in common and people can get along with each other no matter how different they are. However, when I looked up what the moral of this movie is on Google, it said that everyone is different, and another search said that it's about the struggles teenagers have to be understood by adults and even themselves, which I feel like all three of those like fit really well into this movie and whatnot. So the main thing this is going to be talking about, this video, is kind of the struggles that a teenager can go through, basically. As a 14-year-old girl, I feel like this movie hits different now than when I first saw it. When I was young and naive and didn't know all the shit a teenager had to go through, basically. Also, I am swearing a little bit in this, just a little bit. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah. I think a lot of young teens experience as they go into high school and enter their teen years, eventually growing into a young adult, is struggling to find out where they fit in society and who they want to be when they grow up. In The Breakfast Club, I feel like all three of the things I mentioned earlier, that everyone is different, everyone can get along, and everyone has more in common than you think, and how teenagers struggle to be understood by adults. All three of those fit perfectly into this movie and whatnot. So let's get into the main story of The Breakfast Club, shall we? 5 kids who are all polar opposites of each other have to sit in a school library together for 8 hours on a Saturday because they all got detention. And when the 8 hours are over and they walk out, they have a better understanding of themselves as well as the people they spent those 8 hours with. Yeah. But why? Why do each of these teens slowly open up to each other as the hours of their morning detention pass by, when they don't even know each other that much? Like, they literally just met each other, basically. One can say simply because they're bored and they have nothing else to do and they're looking for a way to pass time. I think, in a way, that can kind of be the reason, but I feel like it goes so much more deeper into that, and you know that if you've seen this movie and whatnot. They start to find a strange sort of comfort in each other There are times when they nag at each other and get on each other's nerves, and they start to spill out things just because, you know, the others are telling them to and pressuring them to and whatnot. That's something Bender, John Bender, I'll put him up here, does a whole lot in this movie, especially towards Claire, who is the prim, pretty, popular, perfect girl of the group, and Bender is constantly teasing her of how perfect her life must be and whatnot, which we find out is not the case. I feel like that's also kind of how Brian is, because in this clip, I'll put it up right now.
Here's my impression of life at Big Bry's house. Son? Yeah, Dad. How's your day, pal? Great, Dad. How's yours? Super. Say, son, how'd you like to go fishing this weekend? Great, Dad. But I've got homework to do. That's all right, son. You can do it on the boat. Gee. Dear, isn't our son...
In that clip, he kind of just... I'm not going to put the full clip, but he just, like, kind of imitates Brian and assumes he has a spectacular life, too, which we find out he doesn't at all. But yeah. We find out that each character suffers from some kind of stress or pressure that's been influenced on them by the people in their life. Bender has an abusive home life, which he copes with by being the bad boy rule breaker that he is. Claire has a bad home life as well. She has to deal with her parents fighting all the time, and she's constantly pressured by her friends to do things she doesn't want to do. She also feels like her parents just use her as an excuse to get back together with each other. Like, they don't even love her at all. Andrew is pressured by his dad to be better at wrestling and always be on top all the time. And he also has trouble thinking for himself. He just does what other people tell him to do. Brian is pressured to always get the best grades and nothing less. And his parents just don't seem to care about him besides him getting good grades. And Alice is neglected by her parents, and there's not much more of that. So yeah, I mean, there's much more of that, but you know, we'll get into it. I'm going to talk about each of these characters and their problems and how they evolve throughout the story, or the movie, if you want to say that. Starting with John Bender. John is a rebel of the group. He breaks the rules. He has a bitchy attitude and is just a straight up menace. No one likes Bender because he's mean to everyone, and all people see him as is a troublemaker and nothing more. But why? Why is he the way that he is? Did he just decide to wake up one morning and said, hey, I'm gonna be an asshole? Well, no, that's not the answer. It's not the answer at all. The reason he's the way he is because he gets abused at home. And as a response to this abuse, he acts like such a rebel. A ton of kids who receive abuse from their own parents often act in this mean, aggressive manner, which is kind of what the phrase people take their problems out on other people kind of comes from a lot of the times and whatnot. Bender indulges in wisecracking and telling offensive jokes as a form of a coping mechanism to escape his abusive household. Bender indulges in wisecracking and telling offensive jokes as a form of a coping mechanism to escape his abusive household. But as he hears all of the other teens' stories and what they struggle with in their lives, he learns that there is more to people than there seems and begins to empathize with the others. Excuse me. But yeah. Now let's go to Andrew. Andrew has trouble thinking for himself, basically, and just thinks what other people thinks to tell him. This is shown when he admits that he doesn't even like to wrestle. He just does it because it's what his dad wants him to do. The reason Andy is in detention, and this is gonna make you laugh your ass off, because that actually has to do with ass cheeks. Don't get your mind out of the gutter. The reason Andy is in detention is because he taped someone's ass cheeks together in the locker room. Yep, and it gets better. Hold up. Which is what his dad told him to do, and he even justifies it by saying, hey, I screwed around as a kid. It's fine. People screw around. Guys screw around. Gosh, I feel so bad for that person who had to tear that duct tape off his ass. But yeah, moving on. Andrew learns to accept himself throughout the movie, and he sees that he doesn't need to follow everyone else's ideas and actions, and it doesn't matter what other people think of him. All that matters is what he thinks of himself, basically. Claire receives peer pressure from her friends and has to deal with her parents fighting all the time. She feels like she has to go along with everything her friends say, which leads to her skipping school to go shopping, which is the reason why she is in detention. Claire is the standard, popular, pretty girl of the bunch, and she feels like she has to fit into the popular stereotype. The same kind of goes for Andy, basically. Andy is a jock, and Claire she's called like the prom queen in this movie. Andy feels pressured to be the big strong jock. In high school, popular people like Claire and Andy have to live up to the stereotype of the prom queen and the jock. Some teens like taking on these roles of being popular in some way, shape, or form, but some of them just do it to survive, and they don't like doing what their friends force them to do or tell them they have to do in order to fit in. I'm putting these last two together because Brian and Alice do have sort of a similar thing, a similar struggle. Brian and Alice struggle with their parents not caring about them, but unlike Claire, they know it, like, for sure. Like, there's obvious signs. Brian is constantly pressured by his parents to get all A's in all of his classes, and they seem to only care about this. They don't even care about him as a son. They just want him to get all A's and study and study and study and study. And Alice's parents just don't even acknowledge her existence. Like, at all. Like, here, I'll play this clip. But yeah, Brian is so pressured to get only the best grades, like the best grades, that when he gets an F one day, he brings a flare gun to shoot himself. And that's the reason he ends up in detention. Alice is the weird, quiet kid of the group. When the group gets high towards the end of the movie, she dumps her bag out in front of Andy and Brian. They ask her why she has so much stuff in her bag, and she says it's because she wants to run away one day and she wants to be prepared. When asked why she wants to run away by the boys, she says it's because her home life is unsatisfying. Now we come to our conclusion. Why is The Breakfast Club such a relatable piece of film to kids then and now? Well, it's because a teenager goes through a whole lot of things growing up, and a lot of them are bad things. You go through pressure, bullying, heartbreak, being uncomfortable with yourself sometimes, hating yourself, anxiety, depression, stress, burnout, failure, feeling like you're not good enough. And I'm not saying that because that's what this movie implies. I'm saying that because I'm a teenager myself. I'm going to high school next year, and I am scared as fuck. I don't know what's waiting for me behind those double doors, but I know it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. But at the same time, I'm so excited to go to high school. And you might be wondering, how can you be both? How can you be scared out of your mind and so excited? It's because I'm excited to make great memories with my friends. I'm excited to make new friends. I'm excited to fall even more in love with my current partner. And I'm excited to make my parents proud of me and grow up into a great person. And sometimes I have to remind myself that I'm so lucky to have such amazing and kind parents. In this movie, parents are portrayed as not being there for the kids, and that can happen in real life. I just want to say to anyone who struggles with this, if you feel like your parents don't love you or anything, and they make you want to do terrible things to yourself because if it's the way they treat you or something, I want you to know that it does get better over time. I promise you that. And you will find your people. You'll find people who love and care about you and accept you for who you are and don't pressure you to do anything. Even if you find those people in the most unexpected places, if those people are polar opposites of you and not at all on the same status level as you. If they love you, then that's good. And you need something like that when you grow up. Everyone does. Yeah, that is the end of this essay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Little short in my opinion, but I kind of wanted it to be that way. If you guys liked it, or if you guys have any tips on how I can improve, then let me know in the comments. Like I said earlier, if you have any suggestions, then let me know about that as well. And I hope that I get to see you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe, and good night, my boys.